Tyreek Hill. Alfredo wants to trade him. What's good? So tell me, Alfredo, why do you want to trade away Tyreek Hill?
Well, I'll tell you this. Before everybody starts killing me, because I already know the face that you're giving me right now, and when we talked about this, that you're telling me that I'm crazy, that I'm insane, that
Yeah,
if I should go to a psychologist. But
yeah.
I'm going to tell you this. You have to have in life a foresight. You have to trade things when things are at the highest. Because if you take too long, and this is a famous phrase in investment, you buy low and you sell high. And you have heard me say this many times in every aspect. And yes, Tyreek Hill right now is at a high point. Now, I have said the Dolphins, since they are not going with the full all-in approach, because it looks like that they're trying to create their cap, keep it
Mhm.
organized. I think now is the time to trade Tyreek Hill. Why? His first of all, too much baggage. I like players that don't have problems. Players that are just focused on their game.
Mhm.
And this incident, the first year when he had that incident with the boat thing, at the end nothing ever happened. And then a few years ago when he was in Kansas City, he had his own dilemma. Now, this potential domestic abuse situation from his wife, this problem, I see too much baggage. Also, last year, I think his way of being was a detriment to the Dolphins. Why? Because he wanted to go for 2,000 yards. And that forced for Tua and McDaniel
Mhm.
to rework the offense around Tyreek Hill. Too much baggage. What did that get you, Pedro? All that thing about Tyreek Hill, where did it get? It got him hurt because he worn out because you were throwing him the ball. He was too centric for the Dolphins. And it got you the same place as the previous year, you losing in the first round. While his former team, the Kansas City Chiefs, won two straight Super Bowls without him. Other thing I want to look into it, his age. Tyreek Hill is basically a super electric, fast receiver. Right now, his total age right now, he's 29 years old. He's actually 30. He's age 30, 8 years in the NFL. Pedro, what happens after you turn 30? Are you the same guy as when you were 20 something years old?
Nah, I'm better, but that's beside the point. Alfredo, you are insane for these comments.
No,
Let's put
no.
everything in perspective because you just want to say your side of the story, and I want you to understand something. When a player is elite at his position, you do not trade him away for. I'm sure that you would trade him away for whatever it is that you get from him.
I
Doesn't
could
matter.
probably get two first round draft picks, and I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, crazy, bro. At this moment in time, you have a player that is elite in his position. We have to put things in perspective, Alfredo. Right now, you are trying to win a championship. You have a player that is elite in his position. The number one player in his position, as with all the stats and behind him. A quarterback that's throwing the ball that has a great rapport with him. A coach that wants him to be there. Why would you trade that away? He has something that nobody has in this league. The speed that could blow everybody away. We try to think about it. I'm gonna put something out there for you so you can understand it, so you can see why I'm doing this. Do you remember a couple years ago there was a plan by the Dolphins to mimic what the Kansas City Chiefs do with Tyreek Hill? You remember a little guy by the name of Jakeem Grant?
Yeah.
They tried to put that guy as if he was the new Tyreek Hill. And what happened?
No, but
Every,
you're paying Jaquim Grant to
yeah,
him.
but that you're talking about elite speed. They both had elite speed, electric, and when it comes to running the ball,
You
because
already have one in your team, Jalen Waddle.
oh, bro,
Build about around him.
yes, you could build around him, but you have a guy that's actually elite in his position. This guy's growing into that. He's not there yet.
I look into also. And you're in the fantasy world of with the speed and this,
And speed
but
kills.
speed kills, but also his cap number kills. This year, his cap number is $31 million. Next year is $34 million. 2026, when he's going to be 32 years old, $56 million. Pedro, would you, at 32-year-old Tyreek Hill, if you can get something for him now, maybe one instead of saying two first round, maybe more logical, he might get a first round draft pick and maybe a second round draft pick
Mm-hmm.
for an elite receiver. You have to sell them when they're high. Um, if you trade him right now, let's say a trade with a post June 1st designation, the Dolphins save $20 million off the cap
Mm-hmm.
just by trading him.
No. Why would I do that? I just told you this guy's elite. Why would I trade elite talent? That's one.
Where did that elite talent got you during
There's
the year?
one thing. There's one thing that the Kansas City Chiefs that have an all galaxy quarterback and Patrick Mahomes that he could go. He can do no wrong. It doesn't matter what there is around him. He can make Swiss cheese look solid. So that's one. That's the Kansas City Chiefs situation. That's a whole different argument. The Dolphins need this guy because last year, I don't know if you remember correctly, Waddle was injured a lot last season. And when he was on the field, he looked like he was injured.
Okay, yeah. Last year was, a lot of players were hurt. But I'll tell you this: the one game that they didn't have Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins beat the Jets and easily. Because
Because the
why?
Jets
Because
are garbage, afraid.
it forced Tua to. Well, the Jets have a solid defense, and it forced Tua to spread the ball.
Yeah, and how many points did the offense score?
Whole bunch.
No. Everything was won off of field goals.
No, 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 no. This last game when the Dolphins played the Jets,
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you right now the final score. It was 30-0. They shut them out. Tua was 21 for 21 completion out of 24 attempts,
Mm-hmm.
224 yards, and one touchdown. Jaden Waddle had 8 catches for 142. Durham Smythe, 4 catches, 32 yards. And
Mm-hmm.
then other receivers, did their thing. Devon A-Chain, 3 catches for 30 yards. So the Dolphins spread the ball. They have speed. They have Tyreek Hill, Jaden Waddle, Devon A-Chain, and then with that money, they can probably pick up another receiver.
No, I totally agree with you, Alfredo. When it comes to picking up, if you were to trade Tyreek Hill, this is what you can get. This is the haul that you can get. Not even picks, and it's picks, and you could get the cap space back, so you can get more talent.
Yep.
But that's not what the Dolphins are trying to do right now. The Dolphins are trying to win.
Well,
And,
based on their moves, they're
Mhm.
not trying. They're not going with the all-in approach.
I don't look. I don't like. I'm not Chris Greer. You're not Chris Greer. You may and another thing that you need to take into account is that all these moves that they're making, for the most part, if you've noticed, is on the defensive side of the ball. They are reworking the defensive side of the ball. They're not reworking the on the offensive side of the ball. Generally, all they're doing is making sure that pieces are in place so that when they go in the draft, they could draft best player available. So
Okay.
I don't I don't know where you got this from. I think that you just woke up one day and decided to just say, "Oh, you know what? I don't like the way you're like." This is the thing I've known about you for a long time. You're like a bipolar Miami Dolphins fan. You can't just let it be. You can't let the team do its thing. You always have to nitpick and find something wrong.
I have foresight.
Oh yeah.
I feel that you sell high, and this is the moment when Tyreek Hill will start getting arrested and start getting into more trouble.
Mm-hmm.
When then you decide to trade him, we'll have this conversation in this same podcast 2 years, 3 years from now. Oh, let's try to trade Tyreek Hill. Well, guess what? You ain't getting crap for Tyreek Hill because now his value is on the floor, in which you could have done it 2 years ago when some guy, beer headed, bald old guy named Alfredo said to trade Tyreek Hill. And no one in the media has said this. So I'm telling you, now is the time to trade Tyreek Hill. Call me insane, but I guarantee you this 2 to 3 years, I want you in this same podcast to acknowledge that I was right all along. And the rest that sees this video, they'll realize Tyreek Hill, we should have traded him when it was needed.
All right. You know what, Alfredo? This very video, I'm gonna put it on my calendar right now. 2 to 3 years from now, we're gonna talk about this, and I'm gonna say how wrong you were. How the Dolphins won several playoff games, maybe won a Super Bowl because of Tyreek Hill. 2025, next year, we'll talk about it.